Disclaimer, we'd like to note before the start of this interview that the opinions about to be expressed by the guest on tonight's Gettin Salty Experience podcast are that of the guest and do not directly or necessarily reflect the views of the host of the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
Put the fucking fire out!
You're listening to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
Hello, all you fire buffs. Welcome back. Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
Oh, you
want fire stories? Come to the right place. You want history?
Yeah.
Come to the right place. You want Rescue 2 hard charges, Roofy? Again, I tell you, you come to the right place.
You have.
You're not going to get this anywhere. You're not going to get this on the kitchen table, the firehouse kitchen
table.
You
might get it on the. You might.
Even though we like him, we love that guy. But you're not going to get it there. You're not going to get it at all those other podcasts. But only here do we get the true present-day legends of the job and the history. And maybe an author or two. You know what, Ruff?
Yeah,
we used up like half the show already.
I did? Oh, no, we got plenty more, bro.
Yeah.
We got plenty of stories and plenty of history. So take out your notebooks.
We were rolling in the pre-show.
We should have been taping that. That's a show in itself.
I said it.
Yep.
Man, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, Gonzo's here, too. What's up, Gonzo?
Hey, what's up, fellas? It's a different Gonzo.
How are you? Guy with a hat again. Gonzo with a hat.
I'm sorry. I'm disappointing. I'm sorry. But, if you're going to take a look at this thing, look at this shit.
Wow.
See this?
You're going to show me that?
That shit up.
I'd have that on I take that on my deathbed, bro, that head of hair for crying out loud.
White. It's almost as white as my light that's back here.
All right, so we won't have a show next week because Ruffy and I will be out in Indianapolis, Buffapalooza. Come out and see us.
Yeah, I'll be there too if you care. You always fucking leave me out.
Coming. Your wife's letting you come?
Yeah. And I'm coming to Indianapolis.
You are.
Are you buying?
It might be my turn. I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, just saying.
Jimmy hooked us up for lunch today or yesterday. We had me and my boys.
You get to the end when the bill comes, and all of a sudden you don't see God. He's in a bathroom somewhere. I don't know.
God's picked it up. I remember he picked up something, breakfast or something.
Breakfast.
Yeah, I did breakfast when we first met.
We did.
Yeah, that's right.
When Pete wouldn't go into his pocket.
No, he would just sit there looking at you guys. I remember that.
Yeah, don't do that, guys. Don't do that.
No, I'm not that guy.
All right, let's play a couple of commercials because we got a lot to get to tonight, bro.
All right, let's get to Vince. We'll start off right here. We go.
Do it.
Need a new floor for your fire station? Choose an armor-tough interlocking flooring system to cover your aging, stained, cracked concrete or epoxy floor. Around for nearly 20 years and proven to be the best choice in renovating your station floors, covering nearly 600 floors across the country, Armor Tough is proudly made in America and comes with a lifetime warranty with floors that are usually installed in 1 or 2 days, depending on the size of your station, and no disruption in the process to your station's operations. Our system is guaranteed from chipping, cracking, peeling, breaking, or staining. The tiles are stain resistant and impervious to chemicals or volatiles that are used in the fire service. If you damage one tile, you can lift and replace without anyone knowing. And once it's installed, your floor would be easy to clean with just soap and water. It's not only for apparatus rooms. You can install an Armor Tough floor in virtually any room and choose from the hundreds of colors from the Designer Series or, if you like, from the Utility Series floor coverings. Are you in need of gear racks, an extractor, or gear dryers? Install an Armor Tough floor in your apparatus bay and take full advantage of a deep discount, saving you thousands of dollars on any of the Grove products line. Why install a breakable epoxy floor that'll need replacing in 5 to 10 years when you could have a floor that will last a lifetime? The Armor Tough flooring system is half the price of epoxy and will last a lifetime without issue, more importantly. Join the hundreds of career and volunteer departments nationwide who have chosen an Armor Tough interlocking tile floor. Call Vince today for a no-obligation quote at 908-917-7697.
Vince is a great guy. Listen, Vince will be out in Indianapolis, too. He will be at booth 1907. And if you go to Vince and you go up to him and give him the secret password,
which is
salty, he's going to give you something. You ready? Free. Fireman love free. He's going to give you something free. 1907. Go up to Vince. You probably won't find him because he's a really short little guy. So look hard, and you'll see him, and say the word salty, and he'll give you something free.
Impervious. He's going to give you some impervious stuff,
Yes.
as Mike is saying.
There you go. Impervious. All right, play the other one quick. We got to get our guests in here.
Yes, let's go.
The First Responders Center for Excellence is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to protecting the lives and livelihoods of first responders. Their education and research initiatives aim to bring greater awareness and understanding to the challenges to the health, safety, and well-being of firefighters, EMS personnel, and other first responders, too. They are an affiliate of the National Fallen Firefighter Foundation.
All right, tonight's old school health and safety tip. I've said this one before, but it stands repeating. It's worth repeating. Jobs all over the country offer services for mental health, but always think about your wife and kids too, because you bring a lot of that stuff home, and you may not think, but the kids are like sponges and they pick up everything. So they also offer services to the whole family. So keep an eye on your kids, and like we say all the time, it's not frowned upon now to go get yourself looked at. So, include your kids and your wife for all that crap you bring home, right, Guns?
Right. Yeah. I would tell you, I attended Bill Gustin's funeral on Tuesday, and I can't tell you that they are stressing the importance of it on both sides. More so, obviously, for individuals struggling, but they make it a part of the funeral service now where it didn't really come up. I was very surprised to see that even the chief of the fire department down there made a note of it.
Oh, he did.
Came out. He was talking about it and getting help, and like I said, it came up several times during the service. So the culture is changing.
Yes. Hi, Ruff. Bring in our esteemed guests. We got.
Who do we want to do first?
Hard charges. That's up to Louis. He's the one.
Yeah.
Want to do the author? We'll do the author first.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, yeah, there's an author.
Yeah, just make sure you say it right, because somebody was saying it. Usdin
coming to the stage. Glenn Usdin.
Whoa!
Hey guys.
Okay. Let's get
Next up, coming to the stage, Jimmy Sandas.
Whoa!
Yeah. We're gonna do applause. We can do applause. And
last but not least, Lieutenant Mike Penna.
We give him the woo.
Right.
Those boys.
All right, let's do this.
Let me play it before we get going. We got to get patriotic. You know the deal.
Yes, we do.
Still the greatest country in the whole face of the earth.
Just check your mic there, Coobs. You might be you're a little low on volume.
Oh, am I?
Here we go first.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent.
Excellent. Oh, you sound better now. Good.
Thank you. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Good to be here.
Jimmy, I knew we'd get you somehow or another. I knew we'd somehow wrangle you in, bro.
Just for the win.
Oh my God, I can't believe it.
I can explain this to the other
Lost
guys.
my hair over this show.
Not for nothing, but in the pre-show, we were going to have to get the hook on him. I don't know what was going on. He was rolling story after story.
Right. I don't know why we can't get him on. Just say, hey, come on and tell your stories, right?
He's like
That's what happens
Chief
when you have
Fischler there.
6 grandchildren. You tell them stories all the time.
Today it's Jimmy Sandas. Tomorrow it's Jay Fischler. Who knows?
There you go.
No?
Never.
So Glenn wrote this cool book because, as you know, we just recently had the Centennial for Rescue 2, and it was a good turnout, right, man?
Yes, it was.
Absolutely.
Very good turnout.
Couple hundred people there, guys. Like 300-400 of them.
What did the whole day consist of? What was the ceremony like?
The ceremony consisted of, chief department and various people, as well as Captain Flaherty speaking on behalf of the company in regards to the past 100 years, what the company is, how it was formed, how it was organized, and what progressed during the course of those 100 years. And then afterwards, everybody just got together and had a get together at a location. It was a great day, great time.
Stories.
Yeah, great to see old timers that were there. And
who is the oldest living Rescue 2 member? Do we have?
at the party. I believe it might have been Jack.
Tom Dillon.
Or Dillon, maybe. Yeah, Tom Dillon. It's a toss-up, right, Mike?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
When was
How
he
old,
at
how old is
Rescue
he? Yeah, right.
Ooh.
He's got to be 80s, right?
Yes,
I believe
definitely.
McElroy was 89 or is 89.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, Paulie McFadden was there. He's in his mid 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom, what do you call it? John Dooley. I think he's 92, but because of his health, he couldn't come. But he does attend breakfast now and then. We meet once a month.
So he was there. What decade was he there? I would say
in the 60s, 70s.
Wow.
Yeah.
So do
So
you?
you guys are listening to that. You guys are listening to those guys.
Listen to those stories. Then?
And there's plenty of them.
I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
And then you want to tell a story like, I'd rather go to the men's bathroom. That's what embarrassed me. You know?
Wow, guys in the 80s and 90s, huh?
Yeah.
From the rescue. My goodness.
And who is the oldest captain that still comes? Is it
Probably
Gallagher?
Gallagher.
Yeah, Gallagher.
Yeah.
That's great.
There's only 4, Chief Gallagher, then Captain Ruvolo, and Chief Fischler, and Captain Flaherty. Those are the only living ones. Right
Ruvol's
now.
another guy. I'm hot after him. I'm gonna get him someday. I'll get him.
Who's that?
Ruvolo.
Oh, Ruvolo.
Oh, Fischler says, talk to my agent all the time. Talk to my agent.
I'll tell you what.
That's the funniest thing ever. He can't stop telling stories, though. That's the best part. He can't stop.
I can't get him out of my booth. He's telling stories. Why don't you
It's
come on
so
the show
true.
and tell a story for crying out loud?
I don't know why you don't do it. I don't know.
Great
Just
job.
invite,
Record him at the booth. That's all.
yeah, invite him over for lunch. They'll just and sit him down and just capture him.
That's what I should do, right?
There you go.
I'll put a camera in there. I'll put a camera in my booth. Actually, Gonzo, you'll have a camera in Indy. So when he comes over, just start filming him, and then
Don't even let him know, right?
Now you let them know. Be like, hey, what's this? I have to do it from my phone. They wouldn't recognize it because they'll see the GoPro or something like that.
So Coop,
Yeah.
Coobs, you want to? We'll just have the guys just go quick through their timeline, just real fast, like where they, when they got on, where they were.
Who was there first? Jimmy Sanders or Lieutenant Penna?
No, Mike said.
Probably I'm the old timer.
All right, old time. Let's talk. Even though we've had you on the show, I'll listen to it every time over and over. Give us a little brief description of when you got on the job, where you worked, how you got to Rescue 2, how you had to kiss the ring, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure. I got on the job in 1981, July. First assignment was to Ladder 20, Lower Manhattan, in Hell's 100 Acres. Spent some time there. Then I was able to escape and transfer over to 176 in the old tin house. And it was a great time there. Great bunch of guys. Learned a lot.
Were you on there when you went there?
Yes, he was. He was assigned there in the engine, actually. So we worked together.
Yeah.
And he followed me over to Rescue after that, and went to Rescue 2 in 1985.
Were you in the tin house when they closed up the doors on Super Bowl Sunday? And
no, I was actually in Rescue 2 at the time. I had left
you were?
before that. Yeah, it was probably about 2 years prior. And
so you
was
went
able
to
go
God over in
on Colton Avenue, actually.
How did that go? You called over there first? You asked him, or
I actually, find out he was working, called him up, would you mind if I come over and talk to you? He goes, nope, come on over. And he went over on a day tour. And that firehouse, I don't know if anybody's been in it recently, but it's really tight. You talk about 112 and 271, the same thing, front and rear. Small little kitchen in the back.
Mm-hmm.
It was an old firehouse, getting up to the old office upstairs. Again, all intimidation, like everybody else goes through the same thing.
God, yeah.
Sitting before him and asking to come to a rescue company. I only had about 4 years on the job, and thinking it will take about 2 or 3 years to get there. But luckily and unluckily, one guy got hurt, and they didn't expect him back, and I was able to get a call from Downey, come over. And it was right after they moved over to Bergen Street. So I didn't have to really move anything from Colton Avenue to Bergen Street. It was already there. But we had a lot of work to do in the firehouse because when they left, it was really, really crappy inside.
What was there before on Bergen?
Was it fire patrol?
No, 234.
Savage. 234 originally.
Oh, 234 original quarters?
Right. And a salvage unit. and then we took it over from them.
You should have told the guys, hey, listen, while you're moving the stuff over, could you grab my stuff over at 176 and bring it over? That would have gone well, right?
Yeah, well, I had to look for my gear also, so it wouldn't be able to find it either. So it was,
the brothers found out that you.
Yeah, once they found out, that my helmet was shiny and polished and everything else. So
you gotta love it.
Yeah, no matter where you hit it or locked it up, they found it. So
they cleaned my helmet too.
Yeah, everybody goes through it.
Yeah. Who was the guy? I was assigned to 210. No, I can't remember his name. Who was the guy, the Italian guy who was the good cook over there?
Oh, yes. It begins with a P. A short, little, chubby guy. And,
yeah, man. Yeah.
He was in the
engine. He was there for years.
What?
He was in the engine?
Engine. He was an engine chauffeur for a long time.
Yeah. I want to say like Dino or... oh, shit. I can't remember.
Yeah, we're going to come to us for 5 minutes.
We're not thinking
about guys came from 210, though, that went to rescue, right?
A lot of guys. A lot of guys. 176 also. We had about, I think, 12 we counted up.
103 as well.
Yeah.
Jimmy Gersbeck. Jimmy Gersbeck.
Wait a minute. Gersbeck came from 210 first, and then he went to
210.
That's what
Pete Romeo came from 210. Dave Van Voss came from 210.
Larry O'Donnell was in 210, and Jimmy Schwick, I believe, was in 210. They all went to 103.
Oh yeah, Schwick was in 210. Right.
Swing.
I just remember going there. The office upstairs. Like, wow, I got there after you guys left. So, but it was cool. You still see the remnants of Rescue 2 up there. The bulldog in the office was awesome.
Yeah. So it was good. Spent 10 years in Rescue 2 until I got promoted in 1995, and then bounced around and before I got the spot in Rescue 1 in Manhattan.
How long did you work in 1?
Probably about 5 6 years.
Now, comparatively, what the main difference between 1 and 2, other than the odd buildings and stuff like that?
The operations, Brooklyn was more on the fire side.
Mm-hmm.
Some emergencies. It was more emergencies in Manhattan than it was on the fire side.
Yeah.
But when you got a fire in Manhattan, it was,
one you don't want to go
completely
to.
different. Yeah.
Different. It's on the top floor.
Yeah. Like you can go for an odor of smoke and spend 2 days walking around the building. So it's hard.
Well, how did you become such a historian? Because you sent me a lot of stuff when I was doing the Rescue documentary. How did you become such a historian of the Rescue?
Just reading, and in Rescue 2, going to the reunions and things like that, talking to the old timers, and asking them questions, what it was like back then, and what odd jobs they went to, and things like that. So it piqued my interest with that. Reading the old department orders, the old Medal Day books, and you started, remembering a lot of things and asking people more questions, and you just kept on rolling.
Right.
And
it becomes a passion, like an addiction. Like I'm always looking at the old, the Brooklyn Eagle. I'm looking at the Brooklyn Eagle newspapers, New York Times. It becomes such an obsession looking back. And we had Hashagen to do Hashagen's Corner on the show every now and again. It's an amazing past that a lot of guys don't realize took place on this job. If you ask them today,
Absolutely, and it's basically the history of the company too. You're proud of being in the company, and you want to learn the history, right. And the guys that came before you. So it was,
on any given day, let's say this, on your busiest day, how many jobs would you go to a Rescue 2?
Busiest day, if you do it 24 hours, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 jobs in a day tour, and probably about the same amount, 10 jobs at night.
Right.
You go out and not come back for 24 hours, go from job to job.
Wow.
We never took time. We never changed. We just stayed wet and dirty the whole 24 hours, went from job to job. We used to have 10-8 parties and just go 10-8 for 24 hours. Bring pack a lunch, leave on the rig, and just ride around Brooklyn. And a couple of times where we would get there first due in Flatbush or somewhere else.
Oh,
the come out of the building.
That, man, they must have loved that.
Yeah. Report to the chief. Chief, you don't need us anymore. He goes, oh, no, we don't need you. You guys good. I think we got it under control now. Not realizing that we gave you 1075.
Dude, yeah. Brooklyn to Rescue 2. Where are you? Yeah, take in fucking Warren, right? I mean, it didn't matter. Yeah, make a left by the McDonald's over there and go down 2 blocks and get the hell out of here. That guy was so
and that happened a lot. Warren, all the dispatchers in the Brooklyn CO they knew where we were by the time, and they knew if somebody else came in. we got directed many a times to a job that multiple fatalities and things like that, where we were right there.
But he wasn't a buff there. Where was he a buff?
157.
157. He was a buff.
Later on, yeah.
Yeah.
Later on, when he says, what's the saying now? It's saddle up.
Saddle up. Looks like
Saddle up. Looks like
In the old days, it used to be pull up your boots
like
over the voice alarm.
Yeah.
That's how he started. And then with the bunker gear, he couldn't pull up your boots
I
anymore.
got to call
so
him. I
just
haven't
saddle
talked to
up.
him in a while. He used to call me regularly. I like
Warren?
talking to him. Yeah.
We got to have a battle of the dispatches. Have him and the beef man on, and ask him.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, let's get Jimmy in here.
Jimmy, he's itching. He's itching.
Oh,
like
the
a
beef
scared
calls me
dog.
all the time.
Itching to get in there. All right, Jimmy, give us your history. When did you get on the job? Actually, what made you want to be a fireman? We haven't got your whole history.
Well, I was a volunteer first. I belonged in. Yeah. So write that down.
Did
14 carried a 2.
I joined the Hempstead Volunteer Fire Department back in 1974 when I was, I guess I was 19. The person who talked me into joining the Volunteer Fire Department in Hempstead was Brian Fahey.
Get out of here, really?
Yeah. So it kept us out of jail in juvenile hall. And back then, it was a pretty busy place to go to fires.
It still is, Hempstead.
It still is. But not like it was back in the 70s and 80s. I mean, the busiest departments probably back then was, besides Hempstead, was Freeport and Long Beach. Yeah, it was unbelievable. And then we took the test together. I forget when it was, 81 or 82. And we both wrote in the top 2,000. But it went by your last 4 of your social security number. And Brian had a lower social security number than I did. So he got on the job 6 months before I did.
You were his junior man.
Yeah, I was just junior man, like always. And when I got on the job, unfortunately, no one in our class, we were the first class to go to 150 guys because of the lawsuit that was still in effect. So our class was the first class in 1987. We went up to 150 guys. Before that, I think it was like 50 or 75 guys in a class. And our class, no one went to a busy company. We all went to slow companies in Brooklyn, Queens, and Manhattan, as well as the Bronx. So unfortunately, I didn't know anybody. I had no family on the job, so I went to 212 in Williamsburg.
Oh, man.
Yeah, where the heck is that, right?
People's
Old
Firehouse.
wooden lockers.
People's Firehouse. And that's where I went. But what was weird was the last 20 guys in our class never went to the firehouse. From Proby school, you went to fire prevention for 90 days.
Ooh.
And you did oil burner inspections.
Well,
so
it's kind of
where
like
did they stick us? They stuck us in Crown Heights, Bed-Stuy, and Park Slope. So you used to walk and have to inspect oil burners for the day.
Oh,
That's
my
fun.
goodness gracious.
Yeah, and then from there you went to the firehouse after 90-day detail. And then I wasn't even in the firehouse, I don't even think 2 weeks, and I was detailed from there, from 212 to 146 to do my rotation in the truck. So I never got to 212 until like almost September, October. And then I spent a year there. And after I had it, I told the captain I got to.
Wasn't that captain there like 30 years or something like that?
Captain Macarino.
Yeah.
Tony Macarino. And I told him, I go, I got to get out of here or else I'm
going to be here 30 years.
I can't do this. They goes, all right, let's see what we can do. He called the transfer desk in Brooklyn. And things were different back then. Transfers are almost once a month. And they promoted you, or you got transferred by your grade. And back then, it was only 3 grades of fireman. It was 3rd grade, second grade, and 1st grade fireman. So when I called, I was from being a 3rd grade to a 2nd grade fireman. And the guy at the transfer desk was laughing. He goes, I'm giving him companies in Brooklyn. He goes, there's 30 guys ahead of you. I go, man. He goes,
you got to help me out, man.
I go, you got to get me out of here. He goes, are you thick-skinned? I go, yeah, I'm thick-skinned. Whatever you want. Whatever question I'll answer.
Wash your car. I don't care.
He goes, I'll get you in a firehouse next week. There's a transfer order coming out next week. I'll get you there. I go, all right. I go, where am I going? He goes, 277. I go, okay. And then the guy was dead on his word. Within a week,
No
I
shit.
was out of there, and I was on Knickerbocker Avenue. I got there in December of 1988. So I got there. My first tour was a night tour, and Mike worked in 176. It was busy. My first night tour, I think we had 3 jobs before midnight.
Wow.
And then it just
Grew.
yeah, it was so firehouse. I mean, it was one of the few firehouses that it was a single bay firehouse, and the engine and the truck were back to back.
Nuts to nuts.
Yeah, that's how it was. And turnouts were super fast. Whoever was in the front, you just got on the rig. Whoever was in the back, you stopped the traffic, and that was it.
Did you guys race to get back to the firehouse so you weren't in the front?
So yeah, so it was a big.
No, you're going behind now.
Yeah. Well, the thing was, you got to remember back then, the engine would do ERS boxes.
ERS, yeah, hell yeah. Otherwise the truck would have to
Friday,
move every
Saturday
fucking
night,
time.
you do 20 ERS boxes. So the truck would race back to the firehouse because they weren't going to move that rig.
Hell
And
yeah.
then, of course, we'd be in the front, run into all these ERS boxes. The truck gets one run, and they go to a second alarm.
Yeah, nice.
Because the area was so dense with engines. I mean, you could walk to a lot of the engine companies. You could walk to 252, 218, 222. I mean, you rode your bicycle, you could ride to 271.
Whoa, bicycles.
Yeah,
was
riding
Carrot was Carrot too? Did he have his bike then? Or?
After all these
Can't
years,
find it.
right?
Can't mention
It's
bicycles
so-
without that guy.
It was so dense with engines, but the trucks, I mean, you had 176 who moved from the tin house to Rockaway, and then you have 124 and 111, and that was it.
Yeah.
I mean, 112 was second due to 217's quarters. That's a haul,
Yep.
no? But I stayed in the engine till 1992, and then I went across the floor.
Who were some of the guys that were there when you got there?
It was funny because when I got there, I didn't have a 24 partner. So Stevie Morrow was in the truck. He goes, hey, you want to do 24s? I go, yeah, I'm into it. He goes, let's go and talk to the captains. And we sat down with the captains and we asked them if it's okay if we can do 24 between the companies. They go, as long as we got bodies, we don't care.
Well, that's great for you, man.
Yeah. So half my tour would be in the engine and half the tour would be in the truck and vice versa with Stevie Morrow.
Who was the captain of both companies when you got there?
So when I got there, there was a guy, they nicknamed him Topo Gigio because he was short. Serge.
Can't even make this stuff
I
up.
can't remember his last name. He was the engine. He was the truck captain, and Tom Brennan was the engine captain. And then they both transferred out of the company on the same transfer order.
Tom Brennan from 111. Brennan. Oh, okay.
No, different. And both captains transferred out in the same order. And then the next captains that came in was Mike Legg and Frank Ross. And two tough guys, man.
Yeah.
You didn't cross the line because you crossed the line. You got a right cross.
I haven't heard that one. That's a good one. Was Potter there?
Danny Potter was there.
Did he have the hair? He had the hair then?
Yeah, he still had the hair. It was all black back then. He probably dyed it, but it was all black.
Nice.
The engine, we had 3 officers. They were all from 155 truck. Roger Olin, Tommy Kufner.
Dave Russell.
Dave Russell was in the engine.
Sergio Giovanni.
That's it.
Giovanni. Somebody was mentioned in the chat. Kevin Brown cooked us up with you.
There you go. He was the captain of 112. And then Norman LaCourcier. Those were the three lieutenants.
Norman, he was my captain in 210.
Norman.
Stormin' Norman, of course, yeah.
Norman. And then in the truck, the lieutenants were Marty Helpke, Larry McCarthy, and then Chief Kilduff. He was lieutenant.
Ed, you mean
Oh,
Ed?
Ed.
Ed, the other guy, Ed.
Yeah, that's right. He's your best friend. You call him by his first name, Ed. Right. Nice respect there, Louis. So, guy's got 5 stars on his collar. You call him by his first name. Nice. Oh, yeah, I had coffee with him this morning.
I do not call him Ed.
You talking with Ed this morning?
Yeah.
Did you call him Ed?
No.
No, only Louis gets to call him Ed.
I know. He said I can call him Ed. I do not call him
He's
Ed.
going to say that. He's a gentleman. You still
But
say
I
that.
didn't say it. I didn't say it. Of course, he's always the chief. Always.
But,
Glenn, you see what they're doing over here, Glenn?
It's all good.
He's just patiently waiting. Oh, he put a bunch
Listen,
of
I was
pictures up
saying
there.
we're trying to get Sandas for everything he's got because we know he's not going to come on the show. So we're trying to do everything.
All out now.
So we'll be with you in like 2 hours. We are gonna talk about Rescue 2 at some point, but we're trying to get Sandas.
Milking Sanders right now.
Go ahead, baby.
Excuse me.
It was just a totally different atmosphere in that firehouse. I mean, everybody there, all we wanted to do was go to fires.
Yeah.
So, and then the truck, we became known as the no frills truck because we didn't want any of that stuff. They sent a hearse tool. What do we need a hearse tool for? So when the guy from Fleet Maintenance came and delivered it, we told him, you got the wrong firehouse. You got to deliver that thing to Rockaway Avenue.
We don't want that thing here.
It'll slow us down. It's weight.
It's gonna go flying when we make a turn.
Yeah, so that's what we did. Then that's where the name. We didn't want any. We just wanted to go to fires, and that's what we did. And the engine was just as great, man. And the camaraderie was really tight.
What year did you go across the floor? How long did you spend in the
I
end?
think it was
You were almost across the floor anyway. You're working mutuals over there.
Yeah. Well, you went between the rigs. I went there in '92 in 112.
Right.
And then I spent 4 years there. And then the captain was Mark Ferran.
Wow.
Yeah. Captain Kidd, man. Smart.
What can you
the
say?
smartest
What can
guy.
you say?
Man, he was so smart. And he was great. But he just kept going up the ladder so fast. But taught us well. Listened to him all the time. And,
When did you start getting the inkling?
So when I kept seeing those guys going to more fires than we were going on Knickerbocker Avenue, I go, man, that's pretty good. Man.
They were leaving your fire, going to Penna's fire, and you're like, wait a
Hey,
minute.
that was my father. Wait a minute.
But the thing was, we were a distance away from them, so we never had any issues or problems or nothing, with the rescue. We got along. We never had an issue. And then Rescue 2 only came, Rescue 2 came to our boxes, but even though Squad 1 was there, they were operating, they didn't come to the 2-8. They only came up to the 3-7 battalion. So the only special unit that ever came in was Rescue 2. And then I guess it was like 96. I started getting the itch. Yeah, the itch.
Mm-hmm.
So Captain Fischler worked in the groups that I was in 112, and every time I would see him at a fire, I go, hey, are you looking for? Do you need guys? I'd be interested coming over. And then he would tell me, this was like September. He goes, I'll tell you what. It's nice that you're asking, but you're looking like 12, at least 2 years away.
Mm-hmm.
I go, oh my God, 2 years. I go, okay. I figured I asked. And then I see him at another fire like 2 weeks later. I go, hey, Cap, what's going on? Hey, Jimmy, what's up? I go, still got a long waiting list over there? He goes, well, I'll tell you what, it's down to like maybe a year and a half. I go, this is pretty good. 2 weeks. cut 6 months.
Another
I'm gonna wait 2 more weeks.
So
Another 6 months.
I'm playing golf with a bunch of guys, and someone turns to me and goes, "Hey, did you hear?" Now you got to remember, back then it was only the 5 rescues, Squad 41 and Squad 1. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
They go, "Hey, did you hear that they're going to increase the manpower in the rescues and the squads to 28 guys? They're going to add 3 guys." I go, "Oh, that's interesting." So my first tour back in the firehouse, catch a job. Chief Fish, Captain Fisher's work. I go, "Cap, what's going on? Is it true that the rescues and the squads are getting 3 guys?" So he goes, "I'll tell you what, yeah." I go, "So how's it looking?" So he goes, I'll tell you what, you're 6 months away." I go, "Not bad." I go, "Less than a month and a half, I'm down to a year and a half." And then it was a Thursday night. My phone rang at home. My wife goes, "Hey, there's a guy named Jay Fisher. He wants to talk to you." I go, "Okay."
Boom,
So,
boom, 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 boom.
Boom, boom, boom. I put a suit on.
So, he goes, "I'll tell you what, Jimmy, you still interested in coming over?" I go, "Yeah, Cap, I'm interested, really interested in coming over." He goes, "Okay, Monday morning." I go, "What?
Yeah.
What Monday morning?" He goes, "Monday morning, 9 o'clock, come to Rescue 2. I'm like, "You play mind games with me at 9 o'clock at night or what?" He goes, "No." He goes, "Come over." I go, "Okay." So I hang up the phone. 2 minutes later, the phone rings. It's Pete Lund. I go, "Hey, Lou, what's up?" He goes, "Jimmy, I just got a word that you're coming here Monday morning." I go, "Okay." Captain just called me. So he goes, "There's no paperwork on you. There's nothing on you." I go, "Yeah."
That's how we do it.
How
He
we
goes,
roll.
"When did you ever come here and see him?" I go, "I never saw him in the firehouse. I just spoke to him all the time at jobs." He goes, "Oh, this is going to be interesting coming Monday morning when you come in this firehouse." I go, "Okay, man." And then when I walked in, of course, all the dinosaurs were working. Richie Evers and Davey Van Voss. Billy Lake was there. And who are
It
you?
didn't go good. It didn't go good.
Oh, boy.
Oh boy. I'm
Like,
getting nervous.
You were around here before.
I walk in the kitchen and like,
Did they throw your cake in the garbage?
no, they didn't. They do it against the fence
Oh shit.
in the parking lot. But how'd you get here? I go, being the typical idiot that I am, said I got my car this morning and drove here.
Oh no.
So, like, okay, you go be is this where we're going? I go, you asked me how I got here. I told you how I got here. So Richie Evers asked me a question. I gave him a stupid answer, and he wigged out. He walked out of the kitchen, and Davey Van Voort says, "You only been here 2 minutes, and you're already pissed off to see your man." He goes, just shaking his head, laughing. And then Richie came downstairs and says, "There's no paperwork on you and nothing." I go, "I never came for an interview. I just always spoke to the captain at jobs." So he goes, "Really?" I go, "Yeah, I'm not lying to you, man." I go, "I never walked foot in his firehouse till this morning." So he walks out of the kitchen again. Davey Van Voort looks at his watch. He goes, 5 minutes. You pissed the senior man off twice. He goes, "Jimmy, you go fit in there perfect, man." And the thing was, Richie Evers and I became pretty good friends after that.
Really?
Yeah. Oh.
How long did it take you to feel like you were comfortable there?
It was total. You had to give, to show that you
I
deserve.
was just going to say that,
Yeah.
Jim. You got to like your first
you gotta
job.
prove yourself.
Correct. I got you, man.
And yeah, I proved myself. It was just total. And Mike will tell you, it was tough. Until they gained your respect. and you proved yourself. And then once you did that, you were basically welcomed into the family.
Uh-huh.
So it took me, I'd say, like maybe 2 months, month and a half, and we caught a ripping job down on East 22 and right off the Belt Parkway. I'll think of the name of the street. This place is roaring. And we get up to the second floor, and the engine said, "We're running out of air. You guys take the line. Who are you?" I'm like, they always told, never say who you are. Well, it's us.
It's us.
Okay.
It's us.
I gave me the line because he ran out of air. I was backing him up. He gave me the line. He ran down and grabbed his tank and knocked down 2 rooms of fire by myself. And some guy is yelling at me, "Who's got the nozzle?" I go, "It's me." "Well, who are you?" I go, "Find out." And it turned out to be Timmy Higgins. Want to know who it was. And then that was it. That was the proving point.
That's it.
So, yeah.
Warriors.
Warriors in East 22.
Who was the other guy?
I'm old. I got to remember things.
It'll come back to you. Don't worry.
But that was it. Warriors in East 22.
All right, you want to move? We'll get to Glenn, and then we'll come back to Sandas. We'll suck more.
Yeah. All right, Glenn. So,
how did you come up with the idea? How did this come? How did it come to you, kid?
So Jimmy and Danny Potter worked together in 112, and Dan and I had just done the book "They Saved New York," and Jimmy spoke to Dan at a funeral and said, "Hey, can I get Glenn's phone number and contact?" And Dan was like, "Sure." So we called me up one day, and he said, "You remember me, Rescue 2? Of course, Jimmy, yeah, because we got on. I was in Massapequa. He was in Hempstead, same year, 74, both same age. And Jimmy calls me up and says, "We got a 100-year anniversary coming up, and we want to do a book like on the company, on a celebration. And can you come down?" So took the trade up. He met me at Barclays Center and walked in the quarters, and an hour later, I had an assignment with Rescue 2, and it was really different than doing my own book because in the vernacular, I couldn't fuck it up, and I had to be right. And when Liam Flattery puts his hand on your shoulder and says, "You're going to take care of this for us," you got to take care of it. So I started. Some of you guys know I started in the Massapequa Fire Department, and I still. Little skinny Jewish kid from Nassau Shores, Massapequa, wanted to get on a job. I screwed that up, but I've been around the job for 50 plus years, and I spent.
Excuse me, listen, they're going to a job.
Who, Massapequa?
Massapequa, they're going to a job.
Get out there,
without me. But I said everything I tried. Massapequa. So
Pick that shit.
Jimmy
Let's go.
and I just met, and we met up in the captain's table with Curtis and Lieutenant Quinn was there, Liam was there, Mike Myers, just a gem of a guy. He's out of 120. He was pretty much our contact in the company there, and the message that I have is that what we did for Rescue 2, every company in the fire service needs to be able to do that, and to be able to take 100 years of history and put it together was a really, it was an honor to do. And we did in writing what Lou and Coobs does every twice a week on the show. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
What do you think of that firehouse? I mean, were you there? Did you move there, Jimmy? You were gone already when they moved to the new firehouse.
No, I worked in the new firehouse.
What do you think of that firehouse?
It was interesting in regards to the size of it.
Mm-hmm.
But and Mike will tell you, Bergen Street was unique in itself because all the guys were so close together.
Right.
Because of the size of the quarters. And that's the only downside you would say of the new firehouse. It's so big and large that,
Did you take the staircase out of there? I always felt like that staircase was like.
No, but
I remember seeing the wood like worn out from all of the guys
going up and down.
Yeah, it's like incredible.
There was no pole in the firehouse to slide from the second floor to the first. You ran down the stairs.
Yeah.
So it was unique in itself.
Tommy Donnelly almost left me there like 3 times.
Yeah, they weren't waiting for you. I can tell you that.
Yeah. You're the detail. Yeah, you got the door. All right, no problem. As soon as the rig pulls out, just jump on the back. Okay, no problem. The rig flies out. I hit the button, and I am in full sprint. And I weighed like 175 pounds, and I just barely made grabbing onto the back of the rig. Like legit.
If you were good, you stood on the, you stood on the back step, and
And hit it.
You would swing, hit the button, and hopefully not fall off the rig, and the door would come down.
I never saw
How
that.
is it as far as proximity to getting out quick and getting into boxes quick? Is it a better location?
It turned out to be a pretty good or an excellent location.
Right.
Because you were right at the foot of being in Brownsville, East New York, going up to Crown Heights. You had Kings Highway. You could shoot right down into Flatbush. It was perfect.
Definitely closer to 120 over there, right? I mean, are they running into them like first and second due now?
Or running first due with them, and it was perfect because you hit all the major thoroughfares. You could hit Eastern Parkway, you could hit Kings Highway, you can hit Atlantic Avenue, but into Borough if you needed to shoot into Queens. So it was the ideal location to go. You hated to leave Bergen Street, but times they changed. The firehouse was falling apart. There's nothing you can do.
What are they going to do with that building now?
No one knows.
I know Friends of Firefighters were trying to get a hold of that somehow. Friends of Firefighters? I don't know. That's the last I heard.
I know the community was trying to get it itself too.
Oh, they were too? Yeah.
Yeah.
Make it a community center or something like that.
It really is the only building on the block there. It's like pretty funny, actually.
Yeah, it is.
And think of one time, the Parks Department wanted to get that property back because of the ball field.
Yeah, right across the street, right?
Oh, you guys took the front door of Bergen and put it in the. Oh,
I didn't know that. I was already gone.
I didn't know that. Oh, that's cool.
Woods took the front door, just like Rescue 1 took their, when they burnt their firehouse down, they took the whole front of the side.
Yeah. No, I didn't know that. That's cool. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
So, hey, Glenn, let me ask you a quick question. When you were doing the book, what were you, when you were given this task?
Yes.
What was your plan? Like, what were you? Did they give you the outline of what they wanted, or did you kind of run?
And Lieutenant Pena did a lot of research, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what Jimmy doesn't take enough credit, but Jimmy, with a lot of help, Jimmy wrote the history of the company. And so I was more of a coordinator, and coordinator, editor, publisher, photo editor, and put everything in order. So from the first book that I did, I learned what actually makes a book, and then this was application of the lessons learned. So I think and it was funny because Jimmy and I had a lot of time talking about this. They Saved New York was basically about the 90 people that are in the book. And so I wanted to take a little bit of the characters, because, a firehouse is a firehouse, a rig is a rig, but everything about Rescue 2 is
the people,
2 guys and 400 or 398 others. There's been 400 guys who've been members of Rescue 2 since 1925. So it's 400 guys.
That's pretty crazy, man.
And so we wanted to do something and celebrate both the history of the company, and I wanted to do a lot, just put a little bit of the people and get that. That's the thing that's what I brought to the project, was putting the people in there, because it's really the company. Like I said, there's a rig and they go to fires, and there's a firehouse and a bunch of different quarters, but it's the people, it's the characters, it's the there's no other company in the city that has more medals. I mean, that's it. And both units.
More than Rescue 1? No.
I think so, Mike.
Yeah.
Really?
Mike?
What do you, Lieutenant Penna?
I would have to refer to Hashhagen on that one.
Yeah, Hosh.
I wouldn't even try to guess.
Medals, right?
Well, we could just look at Hosh's lapel and we could understand that that's half of them already. So
I'll throw one out to you. Who spent the most time in Rescue 2? What firefighter spent the most time in Rescue 2?
Dwayne Wood. Woody.
Really? Woody?
Yeah. Woody did more time than I did.
What
in
did Willie
rescue
do?
too. I think over 25 or close to 25.
Wow.
Yeah,
And
because
you?
he had like 4. I think he was at 290. And he went there, I think, with 4 or 5 years. So whatever he ended up having, that's how much time he did over there. I think
80. Let's see.
I could be wrong though.
What he got on in July of 87. He was in the class behind me. 87. He got there. He had 12 years on the job when he got there.
Oh, he did have that much.
Over
See, I
12
don't
years.
see,
No.
see, you know more.
And then Woody did over 25.
Wow.
I'm not patting myself on the back by no means, but I did just shy of 24.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that goes to show, like when Glenn said there was 400, firemen assigned to rescue too. A lot of these men stayed there for many years. It wasn't like 2 or 3 years and they went somewhere else.
Well, you know what it is, Mike? When you're in the busiest place on earth, you don't really take promotions. Maybe sometimes, you know what I mean? Or
Liam. I mean, Liam's not turned down the promotion.
That probably happened more times. Guys hold off or they postpone. Because that's a chance of a lifetime, right? I mean, that's the truth. So
yeah, a lot of guys spent over 10 years there as almost like an average.
Yeah, that was the average. Over 10 years and plus was the average.
Yeah, because guys wouldn't want to study, right? You wouldn't want to study until you felt like, all right, I got a good taste. I'm good. You know what I mean? Like it's time to get a change, maybe, or something. You know what I mean? Like everybody sometimes.
Yeah, and when the 12% came along, not that we asked for it because we were there before it, but why would you want to study? You're the busiest company in the world, and you're making almost lieutenant's pay, right? Why would you want to leave there? I wouldn't want to leave there.
Right. Exactly.
And then you would get big turnovers. Like in Mike's, era in the late 80s or mid 80s to 90s. What was there? 8 or 9 guys on your promotion list for lieutenant, right, Mike? So they lost almost 8 to 10 guys just on that promotion list. So now you got to backfill.
Right.
So it's a tough job for a captain. Like, where am I going to pick from, and who am I going to pick?
Hey, speaking of that, Jim, quick, not to cut you off, but I think we say this on the show all the time. Like, there's like I loved every part of the job all my time, but there were times in my career where there was like these sweet spots where it was a couple of years, where everything was on, and same thing for you, Mike. Like it was just like these. You came to work, everybody was on the same page. It's just like you enjoyed working with the guys that you were really working with and going to fires and, maybe not so much bullshit or whatever. And it just feels like there's a couple of times in your career where that was really, then obviously 9/11 happened, or for me, it was when Sclafani got killed and, it changed the firehouse. Like, did you have that? That's the question for both of you. I'll go to Jimmy first. Like, did you have like times where you felt like this was like perfect, or it was the same the whole time?
Mike could probably back me up. When you work with the same guys, you get to know them. You get to know when you go to fires. I knew where, if I had the irons and whoever had the hook, I knew where he was going, and vice versa. So we were always in each other's minds, and we fed off of each other insofar as we knew somebody, one of our company members always had our backs. We always had made sure that not only for ourselves, but God forbid something went down in the job, we were there for the guys, and that's what the rescue's about, right? Mm-hmm. Guys on the job, and then, firemen first and civilians second, or vice versa, however you want to look at it. But we always had each other's back, watching out, and I knew exactly where. Whoever I was working with, I knew where they were going to be.
I think that also comes, and then we'll get to Mike now because I want to hear his story too with that. I think that comes from the fact that you had such long times there, right? Like some firehouses, you could have turnover in 3 or 4 years. You could have like half the guys gone, right? So that's where I'm saying, like, you get the new influx of guys and it's kind of not the same. And, that type of thing goes through the majority of guys in the regular manpower out there, right? In any firehouse. But for you guys, the fact that you had, the same officers, right? I mean, you knew what to expect all the time. You had like getting back to what Jimmy was saying, that's 10 years was, if that's the average, so that makes the sweet spot even longer. You know what I mean? right, Mike? I mean, it just goes for longer and longer than that, I think.
It does. And what happens too is the longer you're there, you move up in seniority. And, new guys start coming in from all over. And like what Jimmy said, you get out of your comfort zone a little bit because you're so used to the guys that you used to work with. When I first arrived, it was all senior men, Jack Kleehouse, Pete Bondi, Leo Iopi, all these guys.
Pete Bondi, that guy's name comes up a lot, man. My goodness.
He is phenomenal. He's probably
smart.
Quiet too, right? Quiet, doesn't say much. Right?
Extremely talented, extremely aggressive. There was nothing he couldn't do.
His name comes up a lot.
He was battle tested, and now with the new guys now you feel like, well, they're not tested yet. They're experienced firemen, but you really don't know them personally until you get used to them and work with them, and then you get that comfort zone back. But on my end, it was time. I was 15 years in a job when I got promoted, so it was about that time to try something different.
Right.
And not only that, but also financially, we weren't getting the raises we were getting.
Right.
I think in the past 15 years, we might have got like 3 contracts. That's the way the city was going. So it's a little bit of, as you get more senior position, do you want to spend the rest? You have to make that move where you either stay there or you're going to get promoted. And that's a personal decision. Everybody takes it a different way, and it depends on not only your firehouse but also your family life.
But that's getting back to my point. Is it changes, right? So you went from this sweet spot to now you get promoted, and then now you're in a new place. You're bouncing around. Maybe you get a firehouse, and it takes a while to get that comfort back. You know what I mean? It does take some time before you're really in that. Where
I'm
you
sure
really
the guys that Jimmy worked with, right, until they knew that they could trust you, or they knew that you were tested, they probably felt the same. Where is this guy going to be where he's supposed to be? It took a while for them to trust him.
You never got comfortable, because if you got comfortable,
you got dead.
You dropped your guard.
Yeah.
So you never, and then like if you knew everything, you didn't.
Yeah, you never know nothing. You never know everything.
You learned something every day. I don't care how many years you had on the job. Every day you walked in that firehouse, you learned something.
Mm-hmm.
And if you knew everything, then guess what? You don't.
How great is Woody, man? How great is that guy?
One of the best guys I ever worked with.
Working on him, Ruff, or what? We gonna get him?
He just retired. I mean, I don't. He's gonna tell me to go fuck myself, but it's I freaking love that guy. He's just so like we
one
have
of the most talented guys I ever worked with.
Oh, dude, he's such a great guy, man. Like, biggest heart, right? I know he does. I always had a good relationship with him, but I just know from like in the we have the group me like for the 29103. He's in there. And he'll just like every once in a while, he'll just throw like a one line out that's just perfect. It just knocks everybody back like a little bit, and just classic shit. He's just a funny bastard.
Yeah, he's one of the best, one of the most talented guys. He could build anything.
Wow.
He was so handy at doing anything.
He'd still be going, right? He'd still be going.
Yeah.
Did you drive, Jimmy? Were you a chauffeur there?
I think I was a chauffeur for maybe 10 years there.
You were?
Yeah.
So you drove, I guess, Liam then, right after that?
I drove Captain Ruvolo, and then I drove, Captain Flaherty. Yeah.
How different were the captains from each other? Like, do they have a lot of similarities? Or they, like officers could be totally different?
They were unique in themselves. They had totally 2 different personalities. But you learned from both personalities, if that makes sense.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, both excellent captains.
How long is Captain Flaherty there now? He's there a while now, no?
His biological clock is going backwards.
You just had a kid, right?
Just had a kid, for crying out loud.
God bless him. God bless him.
Yeah, I told him, God bless you, man. I don't.
Yeah,
dude. The biological clock's going backwards.
To me, having a kid right now is like going into a triple subcellar. Like, I don't want no part of that.
Yeah. I think Lieutenant Penna did that in Rescue 1 a couple times. Hey, Rescue, I can defy the triple subcellar. Get down there.
Liam's been captain since 2011.
It's the same amount of stairs going down as it is going up.
That's right.
All right.
Hey, Lou, I got something to add to what the question you were asking. And when you're on the rig in Rescue 2, and it's really unique, when you go into a fire, the concentration on the back, there isn't a side word spoken. Everybody, and it's different than riding in an engine or a truck, just because everybody's sitting on the bench seat. But there isn't a side word spoken. Every ear is on the department radio and the handy-talkie radio, and they are listening. And it's just different than any other company I've ridden with, and I've been around the city for over 50 years. And there's just a special concentration there that and again, what Jimmy and Mike were talking about, firemen first, civilian second, and that is they are really intense on that. And I was talking to Mike Myers today, and he has one of the things that really impressed me is that from the days of Freddie Gallagher, is that the statistics are you save firefighters when you're in the building, and instead of fast tip trucks outside. Rescue's mission is to be inside the building if something goes bad, and that dedication to listening and it's really different and it's a different mindset. And I know in the pre-show we were talking about Freddie Gallagher, but Liam did an amazing job at the dedication at the ceremony of talking about how Freddie Gallagher really changed not just Rescue 2, how the job looked at Rescue 2, but that pretty much changed how the job looked at all 5 of the rescues. Yeah. And it's almost like I think Mike and Jimmy will agree with me. It's a higher calling, and what the rescue's job is. Everybody has a good time, but when the shit really hits the fan, rescue's going to work, and Rescue 2 gets more work than anybody else. So they do it a lot, but it's really a concentration. It's just a life of concentration. And we're talking about guys on a job 1 year or guys in a rescue 1 year or 10 years, but they sit around and, when you're having lunch or dinner, you're talking about fires and, the TV's on and everything else, but that's a place that lives that is it's a mission and it's pretty obvious. There's a reason, that people are in a rescue and they stay there. And one other thing I want to say on that, and got to know Liam pretty well. And he said to me, Glenn, he says, when I go out the door, I know every guy in the back. He said, I know every one of their capabilities. I know what they're going to do. I know, and what Jimmy said earlier, I know what they're going to do, where they're going, how they're going to do it. And he said, I don't let details in the company. He said, the guy's either a rescue guy or a SOC guy. He says, detail guy from whatever truck company isn't coming to work in Rescue 2, for the night. And that's pretty intense. And that is a dedication to what you're doing and how you're doing it. And I think that's part of the special, not the allure of Rescue 2, but it's really a special place. These 2 guys who worked there, they lived it. I just was a keen observer there. I spent 6 months there almost once or twice a week, but they lived it. And it's just it's a mindset that I wish everybody in the fire service was able to see what I saw.
Mike would tell you too. Listen, we were blessed. We were lucky guys to get there. We were blessed to work with the men that we did work with and all the information that they taught us to become better firemen. We were firemen, but we became better through all their learnings and teachings that they set down upon us over the years working with them. So, it's a long.
I mean, you just go through the legendary guys. I mean, we talk about it every week. I mean, you think about all of the guys, ILP and DeVidge and, Danny Murphy and, you can get Paulie Solom. And I know so many guys.
Cleehouse.
Cleehouse.
Like going to a Yankee, old timers game. Old timers. You say one name and like, oh, that guy was great. And then you say another guy, and like, oh, that guy's even better.
That's the babe. That's the babe. Yeah, no doubt, man.
The way that
Barney Connolly.
They never, and I would say as well as myself, and probably Mike we never thought of ourselves like that. We just thought of ourselves as regular firemen doing our job.
Oh, Stagpole. I was thinking about him. I was just thinking about that too. Stagpole.
His son is in a company now.
Yeah.
His son's in Rescue too now? Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's
What's
great.
his name?
And
Where
Lou,
is, go ahead. I'm sorry, Mikey.
When you go, talk about, the guys that have served in Rescue 2, you can go back to the origination of the company, right? You look at those men coming on board and what they went through. They set the stage for everybody else.
To start it, right? Exactly.
And their first mission as a rescue company, starting with Rescue 1, was, to resuscitate firemen on the scene.
Yeah.
So that's where that, started when Glenn was speaking about, looking out for firemen. So that was the original mission statement for Rescue.
Right.
So we just continued it.
Having so much success that the city said, I think it's time for another rescue. And the difference between 1 and 2, I believe, is that 2 did their own training in-house. So they weren't trained, like Rescue 1 was trained at a location before they went online. I think down at one of the academy, or maybe the ladder school, or wherever they were trained. But Rescue 2 did all their training in-house before they went online.
Right. And the first rescue, like Rescue 1, they had, similar to the squads, they had tryouts.
Right.
And they selected their members that way.
Yep.
And then they went to the school and trained. And, when Rescue 1 was formed, they had a fire in a submarine in the Navy Yard.
Correct.
And what happened is, it took them so long to get there from where their location was on Great Jones Street that, time they got there, they did a tremendous job. They saved a lot of lives. But if they would have got there sooner, they would have saved more. And when the job looked at that, that's when they made a determination: we need another rescue company in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And they got a couple of guys from Rescue 1 who had been promoted, right? I believe.
Correct. Captain O'Leary was he was one of the original members of Rescue 1, and one of the original lieutenants of Rescue 2 was from Rescue 1 also.
Right.
And then Kissenberger.
Oh, Kissenberger too.
Oh, he was a legend. He came from Rescue 1 to Rescue 2, gets promoted, goes to Rescue 1, slot opens up in Rescue 2, and he comes back as a lieutenant in Rescue 2.
Wow. And that's when they were originally on J Street, I think. Was that
they were on
J Street?
Carlton, and then they went to J Street.
And they came back to Carlton. Right?
Yeah, Carlton, J.
That the one that ornate firehouse, Coobs? That's that big.
Yes.
Yeah, that's some firehouse, man.
Fire headquarters. It had the round opening. Right. It was Carlton, Jay, and then back to Carlton, and then over to Bergen.
There's Sandas. Who the hell is that guy?
Look at that guy.
Tommy Donnelly.
That was at 9:00 in the morning. The night tour, I think we had 3 seconds and 2 all hands.
Wow.
And that was the day of I knew who took that picture. Sandy Williams, because that day was Saturday, was the Belmont race. So he would always go to Belmont race and come in and ride with us.
Who's that boss there, Jim?
Tony Errico.
Tony Things.
Tony was a fireman in Rescue 2.
Yeah.
Kevin O'Rourke didn't fit the mold. He was too nice of a guy, man. That guy wasn't he sweetheart.
Monsignor, man.
Yeah. Is that what they called him, Monsignor?
He's the best.
What a great guy he was.
We'd all get yelled at, and Kevin would apologize for them. They're all right. They're very good.
Didn't fit the Rescue 2 mold, that guy. I'm like, he's from Rescue 2?
Tommy Donnelly, Timmy Higgins, myself, Louis Sheriff. Yeah.
Wow.
Tommy Donnelly's another humble dude, man. He just every time I send him a text or something, he always texts me back. I know he's got a lot going on. I think he's doing some political stuff, but another guy.
Pounds of twisted steel.
Yeah.
Tommy Donnelly.
Twisted steel and sex appeals, out they say, right?
That seemed to be a common theme too. Like guys from 2 going to 1, right? Quite a few guys did. Hatton did that. Mike, Tommy Donnelly,
Dennis Mojica.
Billy Ryan was Billy Ryan in 2? He was, right?
He was in 3 and 4.
Oh, he was in 3. Yeah. Right.
At one time, you had all the lieutenants from Rescue 1 and 4, all firemen in Rescue 2.
No shit.
Yeah.
Tedeschi did the opposite. He went from 1 to 2.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there they are. Fischler, Gallagher, Ruvolo, and Lieutenant.
Yep.
Fire.
Chief
Nice.
Gallagher would come to breakfast. You know, he comes to breakfast now and then, and he's like E.F. Hutton.
People
When
talk,
Chief
you
Gallagher
listen.
talks,
Yeah.
everyone goes quiet because they want to listen to his stories.
Fish love.
Coobs always says to me, "You think he could get the Chief Gallagher?" Freddie was his son was my chauffeur in 103 for a long time. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I could get. I don't know. That would be too. You think he would come on, Jim? Probably not, right?
I don't. You know, you'd probably call him. He'll answer the phone. You know.
Yeah.
He showed up. You know, at our 100th anniversary. Afterwards, you know, he sat down and was talking with everybody. I think he was, you know, in his glory that day, seeing everybody from when he was working, you know, when he worked there in the rescue too.
Only one way to find out, Ruff.
Who's the other guy, Coobs? That I
What?
can never remember the fuck his name. From the 4-1.
Jack
Pritchard.
Oh, that guy picked up the phone once and he says, "Hey, Kev." I'm like, "I must have told you 50 times if you don't pick up."
It was funny because how many chiefs who were firemen in Rescue 2 become chief in the 401 Battalion? You had Jack Pritchard.
Clee House, right?
Gallagher. You had this guy, Tom. Oh, boy, I just drew a blank. I'll think of it.
Valabona.
No. Oh, boy. I just drew a blank. There was a Tom and a Bob. They both had the same last name.
I threw you off when I said Valabona.
I'll think of it. Let me Google it real fast.
Punch it up in
And
the
Lou,
Google.
we were talking about Captain Gallagher
Tom
earlier.
Healy.
Oh, Neil.
Tom Healy was a fireman in Rescue 2 and was a chief in the 401 Battalion.
That looks like the plane crash stuff.
There was, yeah.
There was that
It got some
Yeah, Mikey, what were you saying, Mike?
We were talking about Freddie Gallagher earlier before we started the show. He was instrumental in turning around the rescue company from more of a special unit to, you know, what the rescue should be. And he wrote the mission of the rescue company in like 1974 when he first got there as a captain. He was a fireman there as well.
I didn't know that.
In the 60s. So when he wrote the mission of rescue, outlining what the rescue can and cannot do and how he can be instrumental for the chief officers, that he turned around, because before he got there, they had certain battalions they would respond to on the first alarm, and then certain battalions on the second alarm, and then special calls after that. So they really didn't run that often. When they did work, when they got special call, they did work. They did a lot of great work. But Freddie got there, Captain Gallagher got there. He was instrumental in putting them on 1075s. You know, not only in those battalions that he would first do at, but spread it throughout the entire borough. And they had a little bit of a conflict with the guys that were there before he got there that didn't really want to do that. They wanted to be a special unit and just be special called.
That's called change.
It changed, and he changed it. And he went and built a company in his eyes and what he wanted it to be. And he brought over those guys we were talking about earlier, you know, Clee House and all those guys. And he changed the company to make it a true fire company, fire rescue company.
I didn't see it in the book here, but I had read in the Brooklyn Eagle that their very first job, though, that they almost
all died.
What's that?
They almost all died.
Yeah, they almost died at the first job that they went to.
It was a 4-story loft building on Furman Street. And they were called on a second alarm for special call. And they were assigned to the top floor of the fire building. And it was a captain and 2 other firemen that wound up getting, you know, unconscious on the fire floor. There was a backdraft that almost blew 2 other Rescue 2 firemen off the ladder.
Right? Yeah. And then they actually pulled them out down the portable, right?
Pulled them out and had to resuscitate them in the street. The 2 were transported to the hospital and resuscitated there.
Wow.
So it would have been, the life of Rescue 2 at that time could have been just 7 days.
Yeah.
They're like, we're closing this place up.
Yeah, what happened?
There's a picture in it's in the Brooklyn Eagle of them laying in sitting in the street.
Yeah, I have that.
Our company.
Yeah. I've seen that picture before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you guys they went to the plane crash and this fire within like a
couple of weeks, right? Was it a week?
Constellation.
3 days.
3 days.
Yeah,
Constellation.
the 16th and
I remember we
the 19th.
talked about that.
Yeah,
we talked about that.
It was, I think, 2 days later.
Yep.
And
Oh,
that
it
came
was.
in. They said the deck was
Danny
so
Murphy
hot.
said Bobby Mosier was also in the 4-1.
Bobby Mosier was in the 4-1, right? But they said the deck was so hot their boots were melting.
Wow. Yeah, that was a tough fire. We did that with Paulie Hairshaker. We did a whole show on that, and that was a crazy fire, man.
Like what those
Yeah.
guys did to get to,
Oh my
again,
God.
you're talking about how many, it's 1960? Like
Yep.
they had nothing, you know what I mean? Like you saw what that ship just looked like right there. It was like incredible, you know?
Yeah, and that's where Lieutenant Hamilton was. Him and Henry Zurcher, Hank Zurcher, started rescuing the people below deck. And when Lieutenant Hamilton passed out, and Hank Zurcher had to put him on his shoulder and carry him up the ladder when he was unconscious. And they
That's
both
crazy.
were, received like class 1s for that rescue.
Ah, there's Lieutenant Murphy.
There's
Yeah, Hank
Iope,
Zurcher was a big
Downey.
guy, strong guy.
Somebody's squinting there. I think that's Sandas.
I don't know.
Oh, Cameron. We didn't talk about Cameron. He's a senior guy, one of the senior guys, Cameron
I'm a
P.
senior man now.
They got a short guy there too, huh?
I did. I have to say, when I watched the Centennial Day and everybody was getting up and speaking, I thought that Jimmy Lopez. I think he did a great job. Lopez. Yeah, he did a great job, man.
Great job. Yeah,
Is this Paul, by the way?
That's Charlie Williams.
that's
Charlie
Charlie
Williams.
Williams.
Like he took it up.
I think that's the two photographers. You got to mention all the great photographers who contributed, but two guys who went over and above and found pictures from this era. Actually, three. Bobby Athens, who was the dispatcher, and of course Warren Fuchs and John Dwyer, and
Brian Grogan.
Go back for a second.
Today's guys is Grogan and Lloyd Mitchell.
Oh, Grogan takes great pictures, but who is this?
He's
Captain Downey.
That's
Is
Captain
it?
Downey.
Yeah.
Yeah, Downey.
I gotta put my glasses on. Over.
Oh,
New
God.
glasses. Wow.
You need to get some prescription chick.
The way I got into doing this,
Who's
you know,
that?
Blow it up something. Go, ooh.
Yeah, how'd you get this, Jimmy? How'd this bestow upon you?
so after the death of Billy Moon, and Kevin, when you lose a guy in a fire, or after Father's Day fire, your minds are going in 10,000 different directions.
Yep.
So after Billy Moon passed away, I figured, you know what? I'll see what I could do to help them out. And I called Paul Hairshaker, who I've known for years. And I went over his house. I go, how do you start writing a history? And Paul spent a good 3 hours with me,
Paul's a man.
telling me where to research, how to research, and what to look for. And then he gave me a few pointers, and he gave me information as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just took off from there. And it took me about maybe 3 months
Right.
to do all this research, looking up, finding all these guys. So Paul Hairshaker was a big contributor, helping me make this. And then I could just keep going. Mike Penna helped me out great time. John Paulson down at the
He's out at the library. The man library. He's a good
that
guy,
man
man.
knows a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And you know what it is? That all that stuff is digitalized now. So digitalized. So he can send that to you in an email now.
The tongue twister.
And what was funny was he gave me a list of all the medal winners as well as unit citations. And I sent them back an email. I said, you left 3 guys out that won medals, and you left out 3 unit citations.
Really?
So he calls me up. He goes, I don't know. I go, I'm telling you, I'll tell you where to find them. He goes, I got to research this. And 2 days later, he called me up. He goes, you're absolutely right. There are 3 more medal winners that you found, as well as 3 unit citations.
That's Freddie Gallagher in that picture.
Where is Freddie Gallagher? I'm sorry, on the
On
left.
the right, next to the chief.
Oh, on the right there.
The chops. Put that door back up there. Could you imagine if you had that door right now?
Oh,
That's in the new firehouse.
Is it?
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. That door's in the office.
Oh, I thought that was like from
Talk about
1960.
saving some history there, man.
And then,
Guys, go back to the picture of Christina Moon and her kids.
But give me 1 second. It's a little further down here. Oh, there we go. Oh, there we go.
yeah, So after I did all this, I went to the firehouse and I told him, listen, I know your plate's full. I go, I had nothing to do. So here's the company history. You could read it. If you like it, fine. If you don't, the
Burn it.
garbage can's there. Throw it in the garbage. And it wouldn't offend me at all. And then they, like a week later, they called me up and they go, it's pretty impressive, the amount of work that you did. And I go, all right, then we'll just run with it. You guys want to add, delete, change? That's your job. It's your firehouse. Whatever you want to do. And then Mike helped me out. And then, like Glenn said, all the guys that had pictures, Jim Regan, Bobby Athanas. Bobby Athanas was a big buff back then before he got on the job.
He's killing me, Athanas.
Oh
Killing
my
me.
God.
He's killing me.
I'm coming on. He never comes on.
He's killing me.
You got to be kind to him.
We are.
He's the
Jimmy,
best.
Jimmy, did you feel a lot of pressure writing this?
No, none at
No?
all. As a matter of fact, it became addicting.
It does, right? I told you. Yeah.
I started 9:00, and the next thing my wife would say, it's 6:30.
Time for bed.
Yep. You can get lost looking at old articles and researching. You can get lost in it, man.
And what you would find, like Mike said, they, when the rescues became what they were back then in the 20s, 25 and 26, their main job was to save the firefighters because of the amount of ammonia that was in the buildings. You got to remember all the warehouses, that was their refrigeration system, ammonia. So you get ammonia leaks as well as it was in the housing of some homes.
Yep.
So they get ammonia leaks that they would have to go out. So they had these pulmonators and they had these inhalers to revive people. And they would work on people. You read the stories. They'd be working on these people in the street for 2-3 hours to try to revive them.
When you guys first went online, did you have the I got brain fart, the helmets, the
Smoke helmets.
smoke helmets?
Smoke helmets.
Are they still using those when Rescue 2 first went online?
Rescue 2, yes.
I
They
believe
would-
they
They
did.
They were still using the smoke helmets?
I believe so.
That was I know Rescue 1, that was a large majority of their calls, ammonia leaks in the beginning.
Ammonia leaks.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that was the whole process of, not only the ammonia leaks was primary for the smoke helmets, but also confined space and, below ground fires. But the main focus was ammonia
They
because
couldn't get them out. They would always send the rescues in with the smoke helmets. and the
exactly. And Rescue
Fire.
2 also had a incident with mustard gas that they
Oh, I
used with
know that.
smoke helmet. Yeah.
Right,
Somebody
right.
set off an explosive in a theater in Brooklyn, and it contained mustard gas, and people were overcome from that.
Wow.
So,
There's a
the
little
smoke
money.
helmet was, the primary tool they had at that time.
Ronnie
Yeah.
Broom.
And
He's a
if you
wonderful
look
guy.
at, either belt buckles or you look at the officer's lapel pins, that's what's on that is the smoke helmet.
And the, what do you call it, rifle? The
The gun, the rope gun.
Lyle.
The
Lyle gun.
Lyle gun.
The
Right.
Lyle gun. Yeah. So that's, two significant things that they relied on back then.
Right.
Well,
And the other tool was a torch, the oxyacetylene torch to cut the bars
Yes.
of on the factories as well as the shutters
We
on the
didn't talk about-
loft buildings.
Another chief that was there too.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
There's 3 chiefs in the department came out of Rescue 2.
Incredible.
we had three right. We had 3 chiefs of department come out of Rescue 2.
Hey, Tommy Richardson.
They're the
Hayden.
two. They're the two of them.
Yeah.
Warren
Exactly,
and
us, right?
Yeah, Tommy Richardson,
Yes.
Pete Hayden, and John O'Hagan.
John O'Hagan.
Oh, John O'Hagan. Right.
It's,
He's a love-hate guy. Some guys love him. I think he did a lot of good he brought the tower ladders, right? He brought a lot of stuff into
Handy talkies, tower ladders, satellite, super
Yeah.
pumper. He got stuck. I knew him personally. He got stuck in a bad place between the politicians and the money bean counters. And
Yeah. The Rand Company, the Rand Corporation.
Rand Company screwed him. And he's just he was his star guy. And at the end,
There
it
he
didn't
is.
end so well.
That guy treated us so well, man. He gave us carte blanche to go down to the academy to film there. He's a great guy. We had him on the show a couple of times.
Right, the Rand Corporation, right, was the Whiz Kids.
Yeah, let's close firehouses, or because
Right.
like
Close the firehouses.
I want to line your rescue truck.
And this,
Meisenheimer was used to make those prank phone calls, at least from what I heard back in the day before 9/11.
but it was funny back then, and then someone wrote a book about it. I read it in college.
what, the Rand Corporation?
About the Rand Corporation.
Yep.
And the whiz kids that were all from MIT. And if you look today, I don't know if they're still there, but I knew as of like 3 or 4 years ago, guess who was still in City Hall? The whiz kids.
Really?
The Rand Corporation was still involved.
They came up with the red line, around the ghetto areas that were
right. And close the firehouses in the poor neighborhoods, but keep the firehouses open in the rich neighborhoods.
Right. It was cheaper. It was cheaper to burn them down than to buy them out. Let them burn them out, and we'll regentrify, like they did in Lincoln Center. They let all that burn, and they built up Lincoln Center. That was all housing.
Crazy, right?
This Pete Martin, yeah, no doubt.
That's Louis Valentino.
Louis Valentino when he was in 147.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Coobs, when you were talking about the equipment when Rescue first came online in 1925, you talk about New York City, with the progression of equipment. When I got to Rescue 2 in 1985, we were still using the same techniques for ammonia gas. It was like a punk, light it. The flame would go out, no smoke, but when you walked into an ammonia situation, it would start smoking again. That's when you knew.
Really?
Contaminated air. And in 1985, we were using the same equipment they were using in 1925.
I'm going to put all my chips on that.
1990
in the subcellar. Yeah, in the subcellar.
We had another situation where we had a confined space hose. It was a high pressure hose hooked up to a 300 cubic foot air cylinder, hooked up to a manifold. And then we had a 50-foot or 100-foot of air hose that we hooked up to a back plate, use a regular regulator on it, and go into confined spaces. That was there when I got to Rescue 2.
Wow.
It was also used in 1963. Lieutenant Hamilton used it to rescue somebody out of a submerged car off Shore Parkway in Brooklyn. It was the same exact hose that they used in 1963, where he hooked it up, went into the water with his mask on.
He dove into the water to rescue that.
And took somebody out of the car.
Yep.
This is the same equipment we were using in 1985 when I got there for confined space as well. They're probably the same hose.
Yeah, that's what I was using in Con Ed to go into manholes in 1980. I think I got the Con Ed in 87. That's what we were using. Same thing. Well, when Rescue 1 started, I'm sure Rescue 2, a lot of it was all hand tools. Saws, pry bars, snips, all that stuff was all hand tools that they had.
Right. Absolutely.
Again, that was above what the regular companies were carrying,
Correct. The big tool at that time was the oxyacetylene torch.
Yeah, oxyacetylene, block and tackle, all that stuff.
The grip hoist was one of the tools that started.
Yeah, even regular jacks they had that other companies didn't have. But mostly, like you said, the acetylene torch was big. Even Rescue 1, I have an early, when they first went online, a video of them using an oxyacetylene torch to get somebody out of window bars.
Right.
So that was an early tool that they had.
To get to the company when it was first organized, you had to know how to use a torch.
Right.
That's one of my favorite pictures right there.
Yeah, this thing's classic, man.
And then their first drill was with the torch.
Yeah, they did a drill for a newspaper, I believe, with the torch. Right before they were actually calling them rescue squads back then.
That's Tommy Richardson coming out of the building.
Yeah, no, that's a great picture, man.
So the story behind this picture? Tommy's coming out of the building after he made the roof rescue. That's the fire where he made the roof rescue.
That's a great shot, man.
Yep.
Yeah, this was definitely my favorite one, I think.
Lieutenant Penna, let me ask you. I'm going to ask Jimmy the same thing. What firefighter did you work with that most impressed you? Like, holy shit, man, this guy is real deal.
Pete Bondi.
What about you, Jimmy?
Boy, that's tough.
I know. You got a big list to choose from.
And it's like having a 52 card deck of, cards in my
Mickey
hand.
Mantle and Babe Ruth.
Yeah, I mean, it's, when I first got there, Jimmy Higgins, man, taught me a lot. Richie Evans taught me a lot. The guy was Davy Van Voss. And Mike, you could, right? He was so quiet, but the man was just always on it, on his game.
I
he taught me a lot.
I tell this story all the time. I was in 117 and Rescue 4 this is when they moved over to 262's quarters because they were working on their quarters. And all of a sudden, it seemed like there was a fire around the firehouse over there all the time. So they basically took our first 2 boxes, right? And we end up going to a job and the fire's out the front door. And we pull up first due, 262, I think I was just telling Paulie read this story. And, they used to have the little gate there where they had the garbage cans, right? And I saw Glenn Harris, right? I'm standing on the stoop, trying to hit it with the can or do something stupid because I was a kid. I was maybe a year or 2 on the job. And I saw Glenn take the glass. He jumped up on the garbage can and took the glass and dove in there. And I remember as a kid looking in there and the couch was on fire. The walls were on fire. The table was on fire. The curtains were on fire. And I saw that guy basically through the smoke that was pouring out of the window. I could see him move through the room. And by the time the engine came and knocked down the fire and we moved in, we followed the line in, that guy was coming out. He had already searched what we were going to search. You know what I'm saying? And I said to myself, holy shit, man, that guy that was legit right there. You know what I mean? I'm talking about on fire. I'm not talking about it was on fire. I actually put the can in the window to try and knock some fire down for him because I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was a kid. But I think that guy, I've seen that guy at jobs.
I just found his card in my wallet. I was going to call him.
He calls me every once in a while. He still calls me.
I remember we caught a fire on the borderline.
That guy was the real deal too. He'll get you in the spot quick too, right? Those guys are getting you in trouble, but they'll come get you.
I remember we caught a job on the border of Brooklyn and Queens, and we came out and some guy was standing next to me and goes, "Hey, check that cowboy out." I go, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, check that cowboy out over there with his helmet."
He always had his helmet crooked, right? All the time.
I go, "That guy over there, that cowboy?" He goes, "Yeah, that cowboy." I go, "Let me tell you something. If you think you were going to die, you better make sure that guy is working."
His helmet was always crooked.
Was Glenn Harris.
No doubt.
That guy, you better pray. If you thought you were in trouble, he was going to work that day because he's coming after you, that man.
Yeah, I should say him one and Quickie too, probably, But now I'm doing this show. Bondi's name, Pete Bondi, comes up. It's like every week. It's weekly,
Unfortunately, I didn't have the privilege to work with him, but man, that's all you ever heard.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Bondi, Davy Van Voss stories all the time, man. They were the real deal. All the guys. I was blessed, like I said earlier. I worked with three different captains. I don't know how many lieutenants, maybe 20 lieutenants. I worked with almost 65 guys in my career there. And you know what? They're all shining stars, man.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when Pete Lund got burnt that time for saying that on that TV show, I worked with the best 25 guys.
What's wrong with that?
You do work with the best 25 guys. And I was blessed. I worked with the best guys. I worked with best guys in other companies too, but they were the best.
Lou, what's unique about the guys at Rescue, especially when I got there, and the majority of senior guys that actually, half of them worked under Chief Gallagher, Captain Gallagher at the time, and the other half were brought over by Downey. When you talk about the quiet professionals, it wasn't a lot of bragging going on. I did this, I did that. We come back from the job and just talk about positions. We talk about tools. We talk about what we can do better the next time. And, I had the great opportunity to work between Downey, Captain Downey, and John Vigiano. So I had the best of both worlds.
Wow.
And, I had Jack Kleehouse on one side, Pete Bondi on the other side. And the two quiet professionals, they would, their actions spoke volumes. And, you learn more from just watching them than actually, talking to them. So it was, a unique situation and unique place to work, especially back then with, these guys with so much experience they had from the 70s going into the 80s, that there wasn't a fire that they didn't feel comfortable at.
Right.
It was like a walk in the park for them.
You never really hear Rescue 2 guys being like you say, matter of fact, do their job, hard charges. You never hear guys like we've had guys on the show say, "I don't think they're going to be good guys." Those are the best guys. The modest guys, like we never heard a Rescue 2 guy breaking. I mean, they break our balls when we became a squad, sure, but
the little yellow friends.
Yeah, Bobby's his little yellow friends.
Well, I got a story for you about that.
What's that?
I got a story for you about that.
Diaper run at night.
So on 9/11, of course, the company responded, and all the guys came into quarters, start showing up in quarters. And Captain Ruvalo was there, and Bob Galleone showed up, and Tommy Donnelly showed up, and Murphy all showing up, and they don't have a rig because the rig's at the World Trade Center. So Tommy Donnelly and Dan Murphy go down to the end of Bergen Street, and they flag down a city bus, and they tell this bus driver, "Get everybody off the bus. You're taking us down to Lower Manhattan." It's been a horrible fire accident, tragedy. So she says her name is Barbara Bird. She sits there, waits with them. They load up all the equipment. They had taken every piece of equipment that was in the basement. They put it on the bus, and she drives them to within what, Jimmy? 2 blocks, 3 blocks?
Down by City Hall.
Right. She gets them all the way to City Hall. They get off the bus. They said that she was for a while. One of the guys was, I don't know, who was Tom or Dan, was going to drive, and they didn't know how to operate the controls of the bus, so they just said, "You drive." And she said she could have driven the rig. She gets them all the way to
she stole it.
Wait, it gets better. She gets them all the way to City Hall. They get off the rig. They stay there till the nighttime. She waits for them all day and all night. Finally, around 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, she thinks they're all dead. She said they ain't coming home. She goes back to the bus garage in East New York, parks the bus, never tells a soul what she did. And I don't know, what was it, 5 years later, 6 years later, the guys in the company were at the bus garage, and they were at shift change, and somebody said, "That's her."
Are you? No way.
They grabbed her.
Good
She hadn't
story.
told her boss
Wow.
1 second of that story. She just that was like her little thing. And they went to the supervisors at the MTA, and they said, "We're doing something for her." And they got there's a plaque on the bus garage there in East New York, dedicated to her. But
Nice. That's
when
great.
you said about the guys in Rescue 2, and they were like, that's what we do. That's what we do. That's how we do it. And that's the way they are. And that's, they said that this lady, she could have driven the rig. It was just a little glimmer of humanity in the worst tragedy imaginable.
Right.
And
And never
that's
took
Rescue
credit.
2.
Never once said anything about it till we went there that afternoon, and we saw her and spoke to her, and the supervisor
awesome.
had no idea. She never told him because she thought she would get in trouble for not returning the bus on time. So,
Mm.
I mean, we talked about Captain Ruval. Can you imagine being a commander? You lose, 6 guys in your company, and then guys get promoted, and we lost half the company. And what a great job he did insofar as rebuilding a company to where it was.
You got to get them all trained up, right? I mean, 'cause you go to rescues, you go to scuba, you got the high angle, you got everything. You got to get them all trained up.
Can you imagine what, the amount of stress that he went through just to do that, to get the company back up and running again to full strength? And it took us, as a company, at least 2 years to get to where we were at full strength again. But you have to hand it to him. He went out and got the guys and made the company strong once again.
Yeah, not only doing that, but now you got to go to funerals. You got to, right?
The hardest time.
You got to take care of the families. You got to rebuild the company. It was a tough time, man.
You guys all know what we went
You
through.
weren't
a
even
lot.
finding guys. Yeah, you went to the memorials first. Then they found the guys. Then you had to go to the funerals. And,
Yep. I remember they were thinking about merging the squads into the rescues, right? I mean, at one point in the beginning, we getting rid of the squads and just merging whatever guys were left into the rescues.
It was the hardest times probably in our job, when, being on the job that we all went through.
Down, and when you were working, you spent some time taking shifts going down to the pile, right? Or on your own time going down to the pile.
Yeah.
Oof. Man, that was some time and a half.
When you look in the book, one day Jimmy and I are I'll never forget, it was a Sunday morning in October, and we're at a session. We're at the captain's desk upstairs, and I don't remember who it was, but somebody went into the storeroom up in the second floor at the quarters, and they walked into the desk, and they laid out in front of me the company logbooks from 9/11, and opened up the page. And that's in the book. I put those in the book, and it's just, you're reading this history. You're reading the guys who reported for duty in the night tour on September 10th.
It was cool. I saw that in the book.
Yeah, and then on September 11th, Captain Rubelo's description, and I think he ended it with, we're going to do everything we can to recover our fallen brothers. It just, that's history that we're never going to hopefully ever see again. And to just have the hold the logbook in your hand and on the desk.
Office record. That's the office record journal too. They have that. I remember looking at Ungaro did that for us for 288. I remember, years later when I came back as lieutenant, looking at all the stuff that he did. Like, again, we were just going down to the pile as firemen. We didn't know what the hell was going on really, but those guys were trying to keep the place afloat. And all the things that he did, now he's just passed too from cancer from 9/11. But all the things, his handwriting is everywhere in there too. Captain Evans, all those guys, like you were saying, like
You know what I forgot too? Add to all of that stuff, anthrax runs were going on. The
white powder runs.
What else could you possibly add to that mix of craziness, right?
Alcohol. That's what you could add to it. A lot of alcohol. Holy shit.
Here's some stats I had written down. Right? In Rescue 2, we had 96 medal winners. 4 members won the James Gordon Bennett, which is now the Chief Peter Gansey Medal. Right? 138 members won meritorious class acts, either 1, 2, or 3. We had 64 company unit citations. We had 14 company commanders. We had the first person in the FDNY ever to win 2 medals in 1 year. And that was Rich Donovan back in 1934 at 2 separate fires. So, the history is, and then, now you're like, oh, I got to read into how this guy won a medal. And
that's exactly what I do.
And the one story that, when I was finished, it was up to 500 pages. So there's no way you could print 500 pages. You need, somebody to carry the book for you. So we got it down to 250 or 2 1/4.
Oh my God.
But the one story that, was left out, but the story, the newspaper article was in it, was the first Gordon Bennett winner that was in it, Bolger. And that guy, if you read his story, they just happen to be out. They catch a fire on the 14th floor. The elevator's occupied. They run 14 floors. They get there. They go to the stairwell. They grab the standpipe hose out the standpipe, run into the apartment above the fire. The guy ties the whole hose around himself. This guy, Jim Bowler, goes out the window on his hose, grabs 2 people, and passes them off to Dick Hamilton inside.
Jimmy, when we do these things,
but here's the thing about it. He gets to Gordon Bennett. Dick Hamilton gets a medal. I forget who was in the room with Dick Hamilton. He gets a medal. The poor guy who was the anchor man, 0. Nothing.
The dope on the rope every time, right?
Dope on the rope. Right? And
oh, shit.
You read these stories like
there are so many guys like that, Jimmy, that people have never heard that. This is what we do at Hashtag. We call it Hashtag.
Paulie does a great job, dude. From the 1890s.
Never heard of who have done things like that, hang out a window, or a guy's holding on to his shoe and he grabs somebody else, or
off a scaling ladder, like putting a ladder on top of a scaling ladder, like all sorts
you've
of.
never heard this guy's name in your life. I mean, like, this guy was on the fire department.
I mean, and then now that's what gets you addicted to do this.
Yeah,
like,
you get.
I gotta keep going. I gotta read the next story, and then you read the next story, like, oh my god.
It's going to be Coffee with Sanders next.
That's
So,
And today,
The new show we're doing. The new show.
You gotta say this though, and it's really important, is that when Jimmy and I got together, there were so many people that had a part of telling the history and were involved in the book. I know you guys know Mike Martinelli, right? From New Jersey. He's like the FDNY apparatus guy. So he provided all the rig pictures and got that for us. You know, there was just 20, 30 people in the company. The company put out a call for photographers, and close to 20 or 30 photographers put stuff up. So that the amount of people who were involved in this project is incredible. They're all named in the book. I'm not going to name all of them, but the lesson that I hope that people who are watching tonight get is that you don't have to do something as fancy as what we did, but record and put that history stuff down, because if you don't have it, it's gone. And when Jimmy and I went into the firehouse and started working on the book around the end of the summer last year, there just boxes and boxes of pictures came out, and stories and newspaper clippings and all this other stuff. So that the whole story about it takes a village, but so many people helped Jimmy with the history and helped me with the photos, and we'd have a question and somebody would answer it. So it really is a group effort. I just wish more companies, like I said, you don't have to go to have a 230-page hardcover book, but you can put something together for your company. And I think everybody, I know Mike and Jim are proud of what we did. It was just a lot of work. And when you held the thing in your hand, you're like, this was worth it. This is the history of Rescue 2. And I think that they're probably going to take 100 books and just put them off in the side in the back room downstairs. And everybody who comes in the company needs to get that and say, this is the company that you're going to be.
I think Louis said he would like to actually hold one in his hand. Didn't you say that?
Where do you buy these books?
Well, funny you could ask. It's www.rescue2book.com.
We'll put that in the chat for. I'll put that in the chat for you guys.
And if anybody that's watching is going to be at Allentown on Sunday, I'm going to be there with the books. I have a stand there where I'll have these books, and also They Saved New York book. We're almost out of They Saved New York, but got a couple hundred of these. And so I'll be there on Sunday morning in Allentown at the what they call it now, the Spring Melt. And then I know the company is going to have a booth at the Harrisburg. In May. So it's pretty cool book.
Are you going to have them at FDIC?
I'm going to bring a couple.
Okay, I'll have a couple out there for you.
Buy a couple.
Slackers coming to.
I know a guy who can hook you up.
You do?
Yeah.
I know I got a guy.
I got a guy. I threw this out there. I threw this in the pre-show before you signed on. Might be a little controversial. I might hurt a few feelings here, but I don't really care. I said that in my opinion, I believe that Rescue 2 is the busiest company fire duty-wise in the history of the fire service. And I gave this example because we all know that the neighborhoods go through transitions, right? And different companies are really busy. 111 is busy at a certain time. Now you go down to 111 and there's white chicks with a baby carriage walking down the street. But Rescue 2 doesn't need to follow that workaround because they go into all those companies. Some of the busiest companies, the first 2 companies in the world, Rescue 2 has been going to since 1925, right? Would you say that Rescue 2 is the busiest company in the history of the fire service?
I would say
I would.
so. Right, Mike? I would
Absolutely.
say so. If you looked at the amount of firework, I'm not talking about the amount of runs, but if you look at the amount of firework that we respond to and operate at as well, fire duty.
Yeah.
I don't think that many people can come close to what the company did. And we're not, and I'm not, and Mike will tell you.
It does.
We're not here to pat ourselves on the back. That's just company history. And that's why we wrote the book, to let people know what the company was all about.
Right.
The company has one hell of a reputation, that's for sure.
I mean, you could look at the amount of runs that we did. Even, I think the first one we could find was 1939, when they used to put out the runs and workers and things like that. And from 39 to recently, the numbers really don't change.
No, I have them all. Not that I'm a buff, but I have them all sitting right over there.
Right, but Kevin, our runs never changed.
Nope.
They didn't fluctuate by thousands, maybe by a few hundreds at that.
You've seen busy truck companies go from 10,000 runs, and well, they didn't do OSW back in the day. It was workers. OSW came about what in the late 80s, early 90s, something like that.
90s.
90s, but they're like substantially lower. Like you see busy companies go. I mean, 6,000-7,000 runs are busy today. Back then in 77, 76, 77, it was 10,000.
There's no listen. And the bottom line is you can't keep listen. When 102 is busy, right? Rescue 2 had their first area. Let's say Rescue 2 had their area and 102's area.
Right.
So they got double the amount of fires, right?
Right.
It's right. So, but then they also have 111's first to area. Then they have 103's first to area. Then they have one. So there's no, you can't, there's no explaining, right? There's no, you don't have to explain anything. It's just
Right.
going to every company.
But
If there's
we
a
talk
job,
about it all the time, Roof. Like we'll say, "Oh, those guys."
They might not get there. They might not get there. They might not do work. But if there's work to be done, they're going to do something. The same
Yeah,
with the
but you
squad.
say it all the time, like, "Oh, 157 is doing all the work now." Well, guess what? Rescue 2 is going there. Back in the day when 103 was doing all the work.
Matter.
Going over there. What did you say before about Brooklyn being the fifth big? What was that?
It's the fifth busiest. It's the fifth biggest city
Largest
in
city.
America. In America.
Just
Could be in the
2.5
goddamn
million
world.
people. Yeah, 2.5 million people live in the borough of Brooklyn.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And one of the things too, if you look at the statistics, really don't go by them, because I can personally attest to this, that majority of the jobs we went to were never put in a book.
Right.
So, so you look at the numbers, how busy we were, it doesn't account for every fire we went to. Because many times an officer would just come out and throw one pocket in the garbage and put the other book in, one pocket in the book.
Come back for like 9 runs in a row. I'm like, screw this. I ain't putting this shit in the book.
Glenn brought up something before, like, when you ride in the back, you'd always listen to the radio, and new guys would come into the company, and they go, "What what should we be doing?" I go, "Listen to the radio." And they go, "Well, why?" I go, "Because we're going to the outer part of Brooklyn. Listen to what they're saying on that radio."
Wow, I just got like a little. I got a little. Still got a little something there. Still. Take it in. You're available.
Here's the thing, because if you went out to, let's say, out to the 3-3 or the, what else was out there, the 3-3 to 4-3, and they would tell you, fire's doubtful, give me an extra engine and truck.
Oh shit!
They
don't got it.
They're not getting that fire knocked down. So when you make the turn on the block, get ready, because you're going to work.
Right.
And
How'd you guys feel when Rescue 5 took those boxes over from you guys?
that was way before me. Ask Mike.
Not good.
Galleon talks about that.
Not good.
It was our borough, right? And it was a little underhanded by those guys over the bridge.
In what way? How did it come about? What do you mean?
They wanted to get a little bit more work, I
Right.
believe, and they, get into Coney Island a little bit, into the 3-3 battalion, and they put a pitch in and went through the political side of the house, and it went around it a lot, coming into our borough type of thing, and we weren't too happy about it.
Before it took Greenpoint.
It's the only
What's that?
borough where 3 rescues come in.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I was just going to say they took Rescue 4 comes into Greenpoint.
Rescue 4 takes over Greenpoint. Rescue 5 comes over the bridge and handles all.
You guys had a lot of work. You got to spread it around. I mean, come on, you can't have anything. You can't have it all. I mean, come on.
Can't be greedy. Spread it around a little, guys.
We could try.
What's this question from Dave Bader?
He wants to know if Bill Hewitson, if I say it right, has any family on the job. He was asking Mike and Jim. Dave Batters.
I don't believe he has anybody on the fire department.
No.
Billy did have a brother in highway, NYPD highway, that we met when Billy was very sick. And his father was in the NYPD also, I believe. And his father, from what I heard, was the one that designed the emergency service unit patch or logo.
Oh, really?
Way back when.
That's good.
Hey, Gonzo, you can bring up that picture. It's a black and white picture. Billy's standing on a turntable. It's a black and white vertical picture. Bring up the whole bunch. I'll show you who Billy is.
Billy was a phenomenal fireman, extremely aggressive. He got chest pains one time at a fire. We carried him out of the fire, getting ready for the ambulance. He goes, wait, stop. What do you want? He goes, I just want to have one more cigarette before I go to the hospital. I said, Billy, you're having a heart attack.
Keep going.
He was one of those guys who was, as soon as he came out of the job, he had a cigarette.
Oh, I love those guys, bro. With that face all black with a cigarette in their mouth. Like they didn't get enough.
That's it.
No, that's not it. No, it's a real close up of him.
He's coming down the aerial by himself.
Yeah, he's on the turntable.
Hey, Jimmy, I'll throw a little question out to you.
Okay.
Who originally trained ESU when they first came online?
Do you have it titled his name, Billy, by chance? I can pull it up.
No. Oh, there it is.
There it is, right there.
This
in
one.
the middle. That's Billy Hewitson.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know him. I don't know that face.
Yeah.
That's 1985.
He's got the old mask.
Yep.
Yeah.
In 1985, we were going back and forth between the 2.2 Scott masks, the old ones, and the 4.5s at the time.
Well,
so half of the guys that were there already always kept those masks on. And us new guys, Gonzo, keep that picture up for a second.
Sure.
And we go back and forth between those two types of masks until eventually everybody went to the 4.5s because it's so much lighter.
Right.
But I just want to call out this picture here. This is a picture of Lieutenant Bill Cole, right? He worked at the fire, the LNG explosion in Staten Island. I think it was 1973. He was in this little basket. You can see the guys holding the basket on the sides. He had the rope tied to him, the light, he had a radio. And what they did, they lowered him into the LNG tank that exploded, where 40 men died.
Guys in there, right? Wasn't there a couple of guys that were dead in there, and they lowered this guy right into the
right into the middle of it.
Yeah.
And this in the little tube where a radio that didn't know if it was going to work or not, and he said when they got down to the bottom, it was like going to hell. All it was is body parts, and just fire everywhere.
Yeah.
And they pulled him out, and then it wound up waiting for the fire to knock down a little bit more. And him and someone else went down later on to do a search and try to find anything that was alive.
Look at that helmet on his head.
Yeah. And Billy was a fireman at Rescue 2 before he got promoted. He came back as a lieutenant.
Oh,
that's incredible.
Yeah.
So anyway, the question I threw out to Jimmy was, who originally trained ESU when they first went online?
So what I read was Rescue 1 and Rescue 2.
Yep.
Took turns training ESU, to make them what they are today, because of all the running. They would go way out. I mean, you got to remember, they were the only 2 rescues in 4 boroughs at the time. So anything that was further out, that required not fire, incident, but any type of incident, that's what they trained the PD. And eventually, I think there was 21 ESU units back then.
So anytime ESU guy gives you any shit, you say, "Weren't we the one that trained you guys? We started you guys off, right?"
I'll take that face piece off. Get out of my fire apartment.
Get out of the fire apartment. Son of a bitch.
Get your rig off the hydrant, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, but we're the ones that trained them back in, I think it was in mid-30s.
Mm-hmm.
Because of all, and back then, and the reason was because of the amount of traffic and congestion getting through the streets. They couldn't make it, so they trained the PD to handle all the emergencies.
Gee, Jimmy is on it. He is. He's too good. He is in there.
We got to get the new lingo, like the coffee with Sandas, coffee with Sandas.
It's a stump Jimmy show.
Stump the Jimmy.
Got to stump me now because who knows how much memory I still have left.
I got to come up with a little
slogan. We need a slogan. You need a good one.
Well, Louie, we got him. He's on the show.
You mentioned people's names, but we might have forgotten one or two, and you know, we didn't mean to do that, forgetting those people. But there was a lot of people involved in so far as behind the scenes making this book what it is or what it is today. You know, even the guys in the Firehouse and Rescue too. You know, kudos to those guys. They did a lot. People don't understand or what they did, but they were the guys behind the scene, you know, to make it what it was and what it is today.
Look, we got.
If you haven't been in the new files, it's pretty interesting.
Oh man, it's like a amusement park for firefighters, probably.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Scaffolding, and it's unbelievable.
When I went back,
And it smells like smoke.
Like smoke.
And I
when
like
I went back for the Centennial,
It's
I'm looking at
fire.
the firehouse, and I'm like, something's different here. And I'm looking at the walls, and one wall they bricked from one end to the building to the other. So I go, that wasn't there like 3 months ago. They go, no, we did that. I go, man, that's pretty interesting.
They got so much memorabilia in there too from Rescue.
What they want to do is they want to make the firehouse, the inside of the firehouse, look like an old firehouse.
That's cool.
So they're doing brick on the other wall to make it look like an old time firehouse.
Yeah, it was too new before that.
So much talent, right?
Yeah. Here's somebody came up with one. Oh, that's not it. It's a cup of Joe with Jimbo. I like it. A cup of Joe with Jimbo, baby.
Joe with
Jimbo.
One of the things I could add with the guys in the house, they did an outstanding job putting that Centennial together,
Absolutely.
getting the invitations out and everything else, and they did an outstanding job. And one of the things with Rescue, whether it's 1925 or 2025, you know, it's the same attitude, it's the same bunch of personalities, it's just different names, right? I think the tradition is always going to continue there, and just because it is Rescue too.
That is a testament to the members there, man.
Very good, Mike. You're absolutely correct.
Yep.
Dead on accurate.
Yeah. I don't know, Louis. My invitation must have got lost now. Did you get yours?
What invitation?
Right. Exactly.
I tell you right now, I thought the commissioner was great. I thought the commissioner was great.
2 years, 2 hours. Now you're going to start.
You've been away. You had to warm up.
He's going to be texting you. I might even text you every day.
Really, did you?
Cup of Joe with Jimbo.
Did you guys talk?
Come and knock on my door.
Was that Coops?
Did you guys talk to the commissioner at all?
I didn't.
No.
I didn't get a chance to.
I heard he's a cool guy, man.
I didn't have a chance to speak to him. You know,
his speech was very, subdued,
very,
very comfortable. You know, he seemed like one of the guys.
He's a big buff, man. He loves the fire service. So.
They say he's a big buff.
Yeah,
he's an incredible guy. He started his mom was worked for Mayor Koch, and they lived up on the Upper East Side. And one summer, his mom goes, "You ain't staying home all summer. You're going to work." And I know a lot of you guys know him. You know, Kenny Fisher was the supervisor dispatcher in the Manhattan CO, and the commissioner spent the summer working in the Manhattan CO. And
that's where he got his.
That's where.
That's right. You told me you might know him, and you might be able to help me get him on the show. Cricket, guns.
Cricket.
Let me find it for you because I have
but
it somewhere.
he loves the job. I've gotten to have a couple of conversations with him, and he's a good guy.
That's like that when I said, "Hey, Glenn, can you get me a contact for him?"
Not the what? Cricket.
2 hours later.
3 hours later.
3 hours later.
We'll talk.
Well, I don't even need to get the commissioner. I've had Penna and Sandas on the show. Rough. Can we do better than that?
We can't.
Nah.
No. I need it.
Especially Sanders.
Well, I know.
There to say that Jimmy had a good time.
I was just going to say that. You took the words right out of my mouth. He was
had
the whole time.
I had a good time.
After
I did. I had a good time with you guys.
Flew in.
Now maybe Danny Murphy will follow. I don't know. Who knows?
I've been working on Murph. I've been working. Murph's.
Yeah.
It takes a little time. It's going to be time.
What made the commissioner's day that on March 1st was the company presented him with a company jacket. So
who's that?
The commissioner.
Oh, he had the tough guy jacket. I saw that.
Yeah.
Oh, no more tough. We didn't give him a jean jacket.
Oh no.
That's a tough guy jacket. Did I wear those things, or did you wear like onesies? I got to shoot one of
I'll let him have it.
I love it. I
There
love
you
it.
go.
I'm gonna go to bed with a smile on my face now.
That hurt.
We got 3-2 in a rescue, multiple phone calls. Sounds like a job.
Sounds like a jab. Take it in. Sounded like Sandas coming in there. 3-2 in a rescue. Sounds like a jab.
All right. Any last thoughts before we wrap this up? I've had a good time tonight.
Yeah, it was great.
My face hurts.
Anybody, Glenn, where to
My
get the
face
book?
hurts.
Where do we get the book again?
Oh, the book you want.
www.rescue2book.com.
I'll show you what it looks like. This is what it looks like in case for you Jim Mopes don't know. This is what it looks like.
I'm bringing a couple of the They Saved New York. If you want me to bring a couple of Rescue 2s, you got to get them to me over to Indy.
I know the address.
All right.
I know the place.
I know the place.
Bruce
I know the guy.
Sent me a picture of the rig, the old rig back like from 1930. He goes, "Hey Jimmy, is that you driving the rig?" I go, "Thanks, Bruce."
I love the rigs too. I have all the pictures of the rigs from the inception all the way up. Some rigs that they had in the beginning.
Well,
unbelievable.
Ash put in the book, Mike, right? That Rescue 1, when they had that one rig, they made it across town in like record time.
Really?
Right? It was in Rescue 1's book that Hash wrote.
I gotta check it out. I got
the that they had. And I forget how fast the person who was the chauffeur at the time made it across Manhattan.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I always said with the when they responded to that submarine fire in Brooklyn, I said if Hash Hagen or Kevin Croft were driving, there wouldn't be no Rescue 2. It would have been there already.
Definitely Croft, man. Definitely Croft.
Yeah. Definitely Croft. Definitely.
Definitely.
All right,
You talking about this rig here? This one?
No.
No, it was one of the older.
Older
even
ones.
older. Fuck. Let me see how I
It
was
was
trying
like
to think of.
Like something out of the Little Rascals.
Somewhere I have it. I don't know where it is in this mess.
Yeah.
Before we go, guys, we got to play
Yes,
the
you got
for Lancaster.
Well, I mean, you got your speech ready?
I have it right here. Me and Louie will be in Harrisburg, the 53rd annual Fire Expo hosted by the Lancaster County Firemen's Association. Fire Expo will showcase more than 250 emergency service exhibits featuring the world's leading manufacturers of fire, emergency, medical services, rescue, and public safety equipment. The Fire Expo not only has displays, exhibits, live demonstrations, but also provides training from Cumberland Valley Volunteer Firefighters Association, Penn State, Hershey Lifeline Critical Care Transport, Middle Creek Search and Rescue, PA, Office of the State Fire Commissioner. Full training descriptions and details are available on our website. May 16th, May 17th, 9 to 5 on the 16th, 9 to 4 on the 17th. Come and see me and Louie. Buy some shit. Take some money out of your pocket. Buy a couple of T-shirts. Now we're going to send some free swag over to Jimmy. He's going to really love us. And, Jimmy, guess what? You get invited on the boat trip now. And so does Lieutenant Penna again. We have a boat trip August 2nd where we take out the fireboat, the John J. Harvey, and we go sail around the Statue of Liberty. You get to drink your face off, eat some good food, and hang out.
There's a lot of old crusty guys telling fire stories.
Right in.
Thank you for the invite. I appreciate it.
August 2nd.
I had a great time with you guys.
Put it on. Oh, I already invited you. August 2nd. Put it on your calendar.
August 2nd.
We'll see you there.
Is that a Sunday night again or Saturday?
It's a Saturday.
Saturday time?
Yep.
Unfortunately, I will not be
Saturday
there.
late dusk. I'm sorry. That's so stuck in my throat.
I'm sorry.
Now that we got him once, we know we got him, Roof, right? He had a good time.
The hooks are in him, baby. The hooks can't get him. He's got the scanner in the back going. Come on.
But
you know, it's bubbling up out of it. It's bubbling.
Penna, we call him always reliable Penna.
Anything you need.
Everybody goes.
All right, Roof, any shout outs tonight?
I don't got nothing. We're going to be away next week, so we got no show next week.
All right, we're going away next Indy.
Yes.
Right.
Come out and see us, FDIC. We'll see them. I might show up.
What booth we in, Roof?
What's that?
You know what booth we're in?
10,000. Same booth we're always in.
10,000. Come and see us.
You gonna have pizza cutters?
Hell yeah, we got pizza cutters. We're gonna send Jimmy a pizza cutter.
Sold it.
Oh, it's a partner saw pizza cutter. You'll love it. Hang on now, don't go. He's like, he's fucking.
He thinks you're kidding right now. He thinks you're kidding.
He doesn't.
Welcome on The Price is Right. You keep
Welcome to my world, Jim. Welcome to my world.
I will send some to Lieutenant Penna too. All right, listen. We'll see you in more than a week. In a week and a half from now. Don't cry. You'll miss
Thanks
us.
for the invite, guys. I appreciate it.
Absence makes a heart grow fonder.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
gentlemen.
guys.
See you. All right, guys.
Guys,
I'll see you. We'll see you in Indy.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Roof. Guys, have a great night. You know what I say? Stay low and go.
We'll see you at the big one, everybody. Thanks again, guys. Thank you very much.
All right, guys, have a good night. Remember, leave the job better than you find it, my friend. Have a good night.
There you go.